How to launch into a completely new life in one day. The most important turning points in my life never came from inspiration. They came from frustration. From that quiet, simmering feeling that something wasn't moving, that I was repeating myself, that I was running the same mental loops with better vocabulary. Progress didn't begin until I got tired of my own explanations. That's the moment change becomes possible. Because real transformation doesn't happen gradually at first. It happens suddenly, after a long buildup of internal tension. When you look closely at people who truly reinvent themselves, you'll notice a pattern. Not a motivational montage, not a perfect morning routine, a psychological sequence. Phase 1. Dissonance. They feel like they don't belong in their current life anymore. Not dramatic suffering, just persistent unease, a sense of being misaligned, of playing a role too small. Phase 2. Uncertainty. They don't know what comes next. This is where most people turn back. They numb themselves, they distract, they cling to what's familiar. But some people experiment. They tolerate confusion without rushing to certainty. Phase 3. Discovery. They stumble into clarity. Not because the path was obvious, but because they stayed long enough for the signal to emerge from the noise. And when that happens, progress compresses. Months feel like years, years collapse into months. Our goal is not to force discovery. Our goal is to create the conditions where discovery becomes inevitable. That's what this protocol is for. Not motivation, not discipline, but awareness. The structure. 1 day, 3 phases. This process is designed to be done in 1 day, not because it ends in a day, but because it begins with intensity. You'll need pen and paper, space, and willingness to be uncomfortable. No outsourcing this to AI. No half answers. This only works if you do it honestly. The day has 3 parts. Morning, psychological excavation. Throughout the day, interrupting autopilot. Evening, synthesis and direction. Let's start where it hurts. Morning, psychological excavation. Vision and anti-vision. Before you can move towards something better, you need to understand what you're currently tolerating. Most people don't change because their pain isn't sharp enough. They've learned to live with it. So the first step is not optimism, it's clarity. Sit down, set a timer for 20 to 30 minutes, and answer these questions slowly. Question 1. What is the dull, persistent dissatisfaction you've learned to live with? Not the crisis, not the dramatic suffering, the quiet disappointment, the thing you don't hate enough to escape. Question 2. What do you complain about repeatedly but never change? Write 3. Not excuses, patterns. Question 3. For each complaint, ask, if someone watched my behavior, not my words, what would they conclude I actually want? This is where self-deception starts to crack. Question 4. What truth about your current life would be unbearable to admit to someone you deeply respect? If you hesitate, you're close. These questions expose pain. Now we sharpen it. Building the anti-vision. An anti-vision is not pessimism, it's precision. It's a vivid understanding of the future you are already moving toward if nothing changes. Question 5. If absolutely nothing changes for the next 5 years, describe an average Tuesday. Where do you wake up? What does your body feel like? What thoughts show up first? Who's around you? What do you do between 9 and 6? How do you feel at night? Be specific. Question 6. Now do the same 10 years out. What did you miss? What closed? Who stopped believing in you? Question 7. You're at the end of your life. You played it safe. What was the cost? Not financially, existentially. Question 8. Who in your life is already living that future? Someone ahead of you on the same trajectory. What do you feel when you imagine becoming them? Question 9. What identity would you have to give up to actually change? I am the type of person who... What would it cost you socially to no longer be that person? Question 10. What is the most embarrassing reason you haven't changed? Not the reasonable one, the weak one, the one you don't like to admit. Question 11. If your current behavior is self-protection, what exactly are you protecting and what is it costing you? If you answered honestly, you should feel unsettled. That's good. Now we redirect that energy. Creating the minimal viable vision. A vision is not a fantasy, it's a direction. And like any product, it starts rough. Forget realism for a moment. Question 12. If you could snap your fingers and be living a different life in 3 years, what does an average Tuesday look like? Same level of detail as before. Question 13. What would you have to believe about yourself for that life to feel natural? Write the identity statement. I am the type of person who... Question 14. What is one thing you would do this week if you were already that person? Not 10 things, 1. Stop here. That's the morning. Throughout the day, interrupting autopilot. Breaking unconscious patterns. Insight without interruption fades quickly. Your old patterns will reclaim you the moment attention drifts. So throughout the day, you break the trance. Set alarms, random ones. Attach questions to them, not to answer perfectly, but to disrupt. Here are the interrupts. 11 a.m. What am I avoiding right now by doing what I'm doing? 1:30 p.m. If someone filmed the last 2 hours, what would they conclude I want from my life? 3:15 p.m. Am I moving toward the life I hate or the life I want? 5 p.m. What's the most important thing I'm pretending isn't important? 7:30 p.m. When did I feel most alive today? When did I feel most dead? Layer in deeper questions during walking, commuting, stillness. What would change if I stopped needing people to see me as that old identity? Where am I trading aliveness for safety? What is the smallest version of the person I want to become that I could be tomorrow? This isn't about answers, it's about awareness, and awareness dissolves patterns faster than willpower ever could. Evening. Synthesis. Entering a season of progress. By the evening, something should be clearer. Not everything, but something true. Now we name it. Question 15. After today, what feels most true about why you've been stuck? Not circumstances, patterns. Question 16. What is the real enemy? Name it. Fear of exposure, need for approval, addiction to comfort, avoidance of responsibility. 1 sentence. Question 17. Write 1 sentence that captures what you refuse to let your life become. This is your anti-vision, compressed. It should make you feel something. Question 18. Write 1 sentence that captures what you're building toward. This is not permanent, it's a direction. Now we create lenses. Goals as lenses, not chains. Goals are not finish lines. They are perspectives, ways of seeing. 1-year lens. What would have to be true in 1 year for you to know you've broken the old pattern? 1 concrete change. 1-month lens. What needs to be true in 1 month for the 1-year direction to remain possible? Daily lens. What are 2 to 3 actions you will time block tomorrow that the person you are becoming would simply do? That's it. No overwhelm, no fantasy, just alignment. Turn your life into a video game. There's a reason games are addictive. They create order in attention. They give you clear stakes, clear direction, immediate feedback, meaningful constraints. Life feels chaotic because most people are playing without rules. So we reverse engineer. Write down 6 components. 1. Anti-vision, the life you refuse to live. 2. Vision, the direction you're moving toward. 3. 1-year goal, your main mission. 4. 1-month project, your current boss fight. 5. Daily levers, your quests. 6. Constraints, which you will not sacrifice. These create a force field. They reduce noise. They make distraction obvious. And when this hierarchy is aligned with who you are becoming, obsession becomes natural, not forced. You don't need motivation when meaning is present. Your life becomes the game. Progress becomes the reward, and the identity you are protecting fades because it no longer serves you. Closing. The only way this works. This will not work if you treat it as content. It only works if you treat it as a mirror. You don't need a new year, you need a new lens. And that lens begins with honesty, not perfection, just truth. Because once you see clearly, movement follows. And movement, not words, is where life actually happens.